So today's deep dive is jumping straight into something that, well, if you are a truck driver or a fleet manager listening right now, you are going to know exactly what we are talking about. We are looking at transport invoicing.
Oh, yeah. The universal nightmare.
Right. Because you think getting paid should be the easy part, right?
Yeah.
You do the job, you send the bill, you get your money.
Yeah.
But in transport, it is just not like that.
No, it is incredibly messy. I mean, these clients, whether they are national road transporters or, multimodal maritime operators, they have been living this nightmare for years.
Yeah, that dreaded end of the month feeling, where you have to pull out like 15 different Excel files, open up your calculators, and just pray you don't mess up a single formula so you can actually get paid for the driving you already did.
Exactly. They are basically wrestling with these massive spreadsheets, trying to force really complex logistics rules into a simple grid. And it just breaks.
Well, let's stop right there and ask, concretely, what exactly is the problem with doing this manually? I mean, people use Excel for all sorts of heavy accounting, right?
They do, but transport is a different beast. To really get why standard spreadsheets collapse, the source material actually outlines 4 real-world invoicing nightmares, a strict translation of what these companies actually go through.
Okay, lay them on me. What is the first one?
So case 1 is road transport billed by both kilometer and tonnage. You are billing based on how far you drove and how heavy the cargo is.
Which sounds like simple math at first.
Right, but it's not, because in this contract, the rate changes entirely after the first 7,500 kilometers.
Oh, wait, so if I drive 8,000 kilometers, the first 7,500 are at one rate, and the last 500 are at a totally different price.
Yes, and try putting that into an Excel formula. You are looking at a super messy, nested IF statement.
I'm already getting a headache.
And here is the kicker. You have to multiply that fragile math by 500 different trips for the month. Plus, the tonnage fluctuates on every single trip.
Yeah.
So one tiny typo or like one deleted cell, and your entire monthly total is just completely wrong.
Okay, that is bad. But it doesn't just stop at distance and weight, does it?
Not at all. That brings us to case 2, which is transport by vehicle capacity. Here, the rate changes depending on the specific unloading location.
So the destination city dictates the price.
Exactly. But here is the fatal flaw with Excel. If your base rate changes, like, say, fuel prices go up, and you update your master tariff, every single previous invoice in your spreadsheet automatically recalculates.
Wait, really? Because Excel just links to the current cell value?
Yes, it doesn't remember the past. So you update today's fuel rate, and you accidentally corrupt your entire financial history.
So you'd have to make, what, endless copies of files just to freeze the old numbers?
Exactly. You end up with folders full of final version do not touch files. It is total chaos. And if you think road transport is bad, case 3 is multimodal maritime transport.
Oh, ships and ports. I can only imagine.
The documentation asks us to picture one single invoice that contains 15 shipping containers.
Okay, 15 containers, one bill. Seems standard enough.
But each container has 3 different routes. Port to terminal, terminal to the client site, Plus specific port fees and changing customs taxes for each one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. In Excel, organizing that one invoice requires up to 50 separate tabs.
50 tabs. Just for one invoice. The accountant's brain would just melt. Clicking between tab 42 for a port fee and tab 12 for transit, no human can track that reliably.
It is basically impossible. And then case 4 is where the tax logic just completely destroys the manual system. We're talking complex VAT with conditional tax exemption.
Taxes are always the final boss. How bad is it?
Well, the example they give is a transporter dealing with an 8% VAT on fuel and then a 14% VAT on transport and fuel combined.
Okay, annoying, but still just multiplication, right?
Unless the invoice creation date falls after a specific regulatory date where that specific client becomes tax exempt.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so the formula has to check the calendar date, look up the client's legal status, calculate 2 different layered percentages, and apply them conditionally.
That is too much for a spreadsheet.
And add in currency conversions, like billing a client in both Moroccan dirhams, or MND, and euros on the same trip, with different exchange rates applying to individual fees.
So the road trip is in dirhams, but the port fee is in euros, and the exchange rate changes daily. I am genuinely stressed just hearing about this. So how exactly does this software Digipark resolve all this chaos?
Right, so the source documents explain that Digipark abandons the spreadsheet entirely. They use what is called a parametric invoicing engine.
Parametric. meaning it adapts to the parameters you give it.
Exactly. And they break this engine down into 5 foundational building blocks. Block 1 is an intelligent master data repository.
Okay, but let me push back a bit. Setting up a master database with every single route, toll, and custom stop, isn't that just trading Excel data entry for software data entry?
It's a fair question, but it's the difference between building a machine once and doing the manual labor every single day.
Okay, I hear that.
A route in this system tracks the distance, the time, and the default fees natively. But the real magic is the tariffs.
How does it handle tariffs better than Excel? So this means the end of Excel tariff files entirely.
Yes, completely. A tariff here combines the client, the route, the goods type, and the vehicle category. It even automatically calculates your profit margins using subcontractor prices.
Oh, that's smart.
And most importantly, it automatically applies the correct tariff based on the exact date of the trip.
Like surge pricing on an app, but checking the client's contract date automatically. That is huge. What is the second block?
Trip flexibility. It treats the trip as an ultra-flexible document. It totally separates the base transport price from the extra stuff.
The extra stuff, like if a driver gets stuck waiting at a loading dock.
Exactly. Unlimited extra service like wait times and unlimited extra fees like new tolls. And it tracks the specific VAT and currency for each of those line items independently.
Oh, which solves that nightmare with the dirhams and euros we just talked about.
Completely. Which leads to the third block, the conditional calculation engine. The code magically adapts to individual client profiles.
Wait, so every single client has their own unique billing algorithm. Doesn't that require like an actual programmer to set up?
Nope. The documentation is clear on this. It is configured without touching any underlying code. You just set up the rules in the interface.
That is wild. Okay, what about clients who want all their trips on one clean bill instead of 50 separate pieces of paper?
That is block 4. Multi-trip consolidation. You can group 10, 20, or 50 trips onto a single invoice. It calculates all the tax and currency automatically, but maintains total traceability for every single trip detail.
So the client gets one number, but the backup data is perfectly preserved if they want to check it.
Exactly. And the final block, number 5, is ultra-specific cases.
Like the 15 maritime containers.
Right. It handles maritime container tracking, credit notes that automatically recalculate, and weekly periodic billing without human intervention.
Okay, this is seriously impressive. But to really ground this for everyone listening, how much time would this actually save? Like, compared to Excel?
Well, remember that massive multimodal invoice with the 15 containers and 50 spreadsheet tabs?
The one that melts the accountant's brain. Yep.
In Excel, that takes an accountant 2 full days of work. With Digipark, it takes exactly 30 seconds.
Wait, 2 days down to 70 seconds. That is almost hard to believe.
It is massive, and the white papers translate this into 5 concrete business advantages. Number 1, 0 calculation errors.
Because the computer is doing the math, not a tired human at 5 p.m. on a Friday.
Exactly. No more broken formulas. Advantage 2 is total traceability. Every invoice permanently keeps the history of the exact tariff applied on that specific day.
Which is like a bulletproof receipt.
Right. Which brings us to number 3. Real-time audit. If a client contests an amount, which happens all the time, you can resolve the dispute in exactly 2 clicks.
Because you could just show them the detailed calculation base, like the exact tonnage in kilometers.
Exactly. Advantage 4 is evolution without development. You can configure new fees instantly without needing software developers to write new code.
Okay. And the 5th advantage?
Integrated business workflow. Everything connects automatically. Transport request to transport order to the trip, straight to the invoice.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here. Software always sounds perfect on paper. Do you have a concrete example of a satisfied client who actually experienced this?
I do. The metrics are really clear. They tracked a national road transporter client over an 18-month period.
Okay, what did it look like before Digipark?
Before, they had 2 full-time staff dedicated just to invoicing. They managed 15 different Excel tariff files.
Oh, wow. The exact nightmare we discussed.
Yep. They had recurring math errors on kilometers and tonnage, frequent client disputes, and it took them 5 full days just to close the month's accounting.
5 days of panic. So what happened after they switched?
After Digipark, they only need 1 part-time staff member for invoicing. They use centralized versioned tariffs.
And what about the math errors?
0 math errors in 18 months.
0. Are you serious? Completely serious. Client disputes were divided by 10, and that monthly closing time dropped from 5 days down to just 1 day.
That is an incredible turnaround. Did the sources mention the ROI on this?
Yeah, the bottom line is they achieved return on investment in just 6 months.
Wow. Okay, technically speaking, what makes this engine so uniquely powerful to achieve these numbers? Why doesn't standard accounting software work this well?
The sources detail 5 technical pillars. Number 1 is a document-oriented architecture.
Meaning what, exactly?
Basically, every trip is a complete JSON document, so you can add custom fields and tables without breaking the main database.
Oh, like if a client suddenly needs you to track cargo temperature, you just add it in without redesigning the whole system.
Exactly. Pillar 2 is asynchronous calculations. For massive invoices with over 100 trips, the system does the heavy math in the background.
So it doesn't freeze your computer while it thinks? Right, it just notifies you when it's done. Pillar 3 is tariff versioning. Every price modification is kept in history.
So you can always pull the exact historical rates from an old date.
Perfectly. Pillar 4 is native multi-currency. Built-in support for MATE, UR, and USD with transaction-specific exchange rates.
Awesome. And the last one.
Pillar 5, externalize business rules. The specific calculation rules are kept in dedicated, easy-to-maintain functions, totally separate from the core code.
So you can tweak a rule without crashing the whole program. That makes so much sense.
It really does.
Okay, we were running out of time, but could you summarize what ultimately makes Digipark's invoicing unique?
Ultimately, it is the perfect alliance of flexibility and rigor. It combines a really robust technical base with unmatched business flexibility built on 18 years of R&D based on real Moroccan transport cases. It's an engine that adapts to your specific transport business, not the other way around.
And that is really the key. So if you are listening right now, whether you manage a fleet or drive the truck, if you are still spending 2 days a month wrestling with Excel for your transport invoices, you need to contact Digipark.
Absolutely.
Your accountant will thank you. But it also leaves you with something to think about. If a simple transition away from Excel can condense 5 days of stressful monthly accounting into just a single day, what other hidden administrative bottlenecks in your supply chain are quietly eating up your company's hard-earned profits right now? Something to mull over. We will catch you on the next deep dive.